Greetings, everyone. This is Payment Loans, your host, your friend, your coach. Today, I'm bringing back Adrian Armstrong from British Columbia, Canada. We had a powerful talk 2 weeks ago about his background, and today we're going to talk about his business. So, Adrian, welcome back to the show, my friend.
Thanks, Payman. Nice to see you again.
Pleasure's all mine. So, for people who don't know you, in a nutshell, in one or two sentences, who's Adrian as a man, as a human being? We're going to talk about your business in a moment, but as a man, as a human being, who's Adrian?
I just someone that likes to help other people feel better. I've had a lot of disease loss in my family, so that's always been my focus. I did massage for 35 years and just trying to help and serve wherever I can.
Awesome. Love that. Love that. So, tell us, what's your impact to your business? What's your business?
Well, for the last 11 years, I've been focused on teaching people about pulsed electromagnetic field technology,
Mhm.
PEMF. Before that, like I said, I was doing massage, and I got into a car accident. I had a couple of friends that had these mats, but so I'd heard about them, but I'd never tried one. And the person that normally would fix me when I got in the car accident, he was out of town for 3 weeks. So my friend who had one of these mats said, "Hey, come on over and lay on my magic mat," he called it, right? So I was very crooked and in pain. And 20 minutes after laying on the, or 20-minute session on the mat, it was like the accident never happened. So it really shocked me actually that
Wow.
something something that easy, just laying down on a mat the size of a yoga mat, where you hardly even really even feel anything, could fix all that in 20 minutes. So I got one, and then I started putting all my massage clients on it, and they all loved it, and most of them ended up buying one, and it just kind of took on a life of its own. And I'd never seen anything that got those kind of results for people, no matter what their issues were. Because I've been trying to help people, mostly with pain. When you're doing massage, people come to you because their back hurts or their neck hurts or their joints hurt, or so I was used to helping people with things like that, but I'd never gotten those kind of results from the things that I was already doing.
So what is that? Tell us more in detail. What is it and how is it able to achieve this incredible result?
Well, it's so the mats the size of a yoga mat have 6 copper coils that create a magnetic field. So before we electrified this whole planet, and especially in the last 30 years with cell phones and Wi-Fi and smart meters and your router in your house, where we're surrounded by all these frequencies, because everything is frequency, the original design of the planet was that we were living on the planet, probably walking barefoot on the planet, walking a lot in search of food every day. But we were meant to be in harmony with those earth-based frequencies, which are 0 to 30 cycles per second. It's called a hertz, it's 1 cycle per second. Your router is 2.4 billion cycles per second. And it's kind of like if I hit a tuning fork and I hold up a second one, this second one will resonate with the first one, even though I didn't hit it. And our bodies are kind of like that second tuning fork. So as much as our food supply is terrible, and there's toxins in the air and the water and all those other things that are impeding our health, the actual frequency that we resonate has a huge impact on our health. And the main thing that it does, in addition to resetting your frequency, because after laying on it, you get up and your cells are actually resonating at 0 to 30 hertz for a while, and they can heal a lot faster there. But probably the main thing that it's doing is it's giving your cells energy. So it's kind of like we take our cell phone and we lay it on a charging plate, and it wirelessly charges up our phone. So the mat is kind of like that. You lay your body on the mat, and it wirelessly charges up your cells, creates real ATP in your mitochondria, which is the energy that the cells need. And it's doing it in a way that nature actually intended us to get recharged by walking barefoot on our electromagnetic planet. So a lot of people aren't going to go walk barefoot every day outside. They don't live in a country or an environment where they can do that, especially in the winter. So it's you can do it in the comfort of your own home, consistently getting good results every day, charging up your cells to keep them energized all the time, which just keeps you in optimal health. Because pretty much every disease that we have is some form of mitochondrial dysfunction. Your cells aren't able to do their job, and it's because they have low energy. And in the extreme case of cancer, that energy gets so low that the cells can't even die anymore. They don't have enough energy to kill themselves off, so they go into this cancerous state, right? So PEMF just kind of works with everything because it's charging up all your cellular batteries. And the beauty of magnetic fields too is that unlike other energy medicines, so things like laser, far infrared, ultrasound, they all have a depth of penetration into the body. They only go so deep.
Okay.
But your body is completely transparent. So it gets to every cell. It's your brain cells, every single part of your body. The cell gets energized, and then it can do what it wants to do, which is self-heal. That's you cut your finger, it heals, right? But most of us healed much faster when we were young than as we age. The healing process tends to slow down because of toxins or inflammation or all those environmental things that actually all they're all doing is getting in the way of proper mitochondrial health, right?
Wow.
So it's doing a lot of things.
Mm-hmm. So who's the person that can benefit the most from this?
Probably the people who are the most motivated are people who have any kind of pain in the body, whether it's arthritis or joint pains, back pain, neck pain, sleep issues, but also any kind of disease. Or just people who feel they're healthy, but they're sitting on a computer all day long. Their health isn't going to stay good, right? So in my mind, everybody should have one. Every home should have them. They should be in the schools and the hospitals and everywhere. But it's not even well known at all. It's been around for a long time. Probably the first modern units came out in the 70s. But it's not part of our medical system, right? It's not drugs or surgeries. It's non-invasive. You buy a mat. I've got mats that are 10 years old. They still work, right? So you don't have to be constantly buying something new all the time. So it's not really and most doctors aren't educated in it, but some are. There's cancer clinics that have been using it for their protocols for 20 plus years very effectively, but it's expensive to go stay in a cancer clinic for a while. But it's nice because you can just have one in the privacy of your own home and do it every day. And that's what I do. I'm on mine all the time because I'm spending way too much time on my iPad and my iPhone and my laptop. And I know that makes me feel worse. Right.
Absolutely. That's fascinating. So how exactly is this magic mat able to do that?
Well, you're excited. It's kind of like the same. If you have a charger for your phone, the charging plate, it is basically a little PEMF device as well. Mm-hmm. And what it does is you have a lithium ion battery in your phone, and the charging plate excites the ions, so they start to move. Mm-hmm. And that's what creates the electrical potential. And we're electromagnetic beings. All our cells have a voltage, and we are meant to have a good electromagnetic potential with our cells so that the cells can get the nutrients in and get the toxins out. So it increases that electromagnetic potential of your cells. It creates more of a negative charge so that they're highly charged up, and it actually creates real ATP, which is the energy of the cell. It creates that in your mitochondria. And it also helps your body use it. But it increases circulation. It increases oxygenation of your tissues, which is, again, usually big for most diseases. It makes you alkaline. If you lay on it every day, you're alkaline all the time. Whereas, drinking alkaline water isn't actually going to make your body alkaline because pH is a measure of the electrical charge on your cell. So that's really what it's doing. It's so
Wow.
similar to plugging in your cell phone to charge it up. Your battery's charged. And a very common complaint from people is I have no energy, right? So, so this is, and the reason I think a lot of things that people do to try and improve their health are a lot of work.
Mm.
Exercising more, changing your diet, thinking better thoughts. They're all really sometimes hard for people to do. This, you just got to lay down. You can be watching a movie on TV. You got to know how to turn it on and lay down. That's pretty much it, right? So even in my chair, I have a back pad in the back of my chair, and I have a little one that I use. So while I'm on my radioactive iPad here, I've got a nice bubble of healing energy that's actually making me healthier instead of just sitting in front of my computer.
Beautiful. Wow. So you're basically just regenerating your cells while you just lay down, enjoy a
Yeah,
book,
yeah,
take a nap, or just
yeah,
watching TV on the chair you're sitting. You can put it behind your back.
yeah. And I actually have one under my mattress in my bed, and
Wow.
and I have a 14-inch foam mattress, and it goes right through that again because the magnetic fields can penetrate anything but metal. So I turn it on as I go to sleep, and it actually has like an alarm clock feature where I have it set for a certain time in the morning, and it comes on automatically. I don't even have to wake up to turn it on. So I get 2 sessions just while I'm sleeping. And my sleep is much better, right? You get much deeper sleep, much better dreams, and then you wake up in the morning and you've got energy again, so you can start your day. And then as I go through my day, I do a lot of sessions during the day because I'm home a lot and I'm working on the computer more than I want to be. So when I'm doing that, like in this chair or wherever I am, I've got it built into my furniture. But
Beautiful.
most people are just going to get one mat for themselves. Like they're not going to be crazy like me and have multiple mats all over the house.
Yeah. Wow. How did
I
you?
just found the more I used it, the better I felt.
Oh, wow. So you must be in an incredible health by now.
Well, I just last month I turned 71.
Yeah.
I, I've been using it now for 10, going on 11 years. When I started, I still had chronic back pain issues, which I had my whole adult life. So, and it's kind of literally reversed my aging. I know 2 months from now I'm going to feel even better than I do now because that's just been the cycle of how I feel and how things that I do improve. My golf game gets better, my energy levels are better. So it just continues to improve. It's something I'm going to do every day for the rest of my life.
Are you feeling more energetic now than say 6 months ago, a year ago?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
That's
So
incredible.
there's probably a level of how much I've probably had a couple of days where it's like, okay, that's enough energy for today. But you don't crash like you would do with
Mm.
coffee. Like for
Yeah.
most people need energy, they'll take a stimulant like a caffeine or drinking coffee, or they'll do sugar, which gives you instant energy too, right? So they're both
Mm.
things that people will go to for their sugar rush or their caffeine buzz. But you crash off those, and they're not healthy for your body to use as a way of getting energy. That's not, our bodies weren't designed to be energized that way. They were designed to be energized by getting that electromagnetic field into our cells.
Makes sense. Wow.
The other thing that I really love about it, like when you take supplements or anything for energy or for health, that only works for the one person swallowing the pill. Whereas if you have a mat in your house, it works for your whole family. It works for your dogs and your cats. Anything that's alive, anything with
Wow.
living plants grow faster. If you're growing crops, if you hit them with pulsed electromagnetic fields, you're going to get more crop growth, right? So, and anything that has a living cell in it is going to benefit from the pulsed electromagnetic fields because we're not just getting it from nature, and even the Earth's magnetic field has decreased. So we're not getting the same magnetic fields as they were 200 years ago. And plus now we've got all this other stuff that's blocking everything, right? So these we don't see what surrounds us. If you could actually see all the wireless fields that are surrounding you, it would scare the crap out of you.
I'm sure about that. Yeah, especially now with all those 5G towers around us, all the
It
cell
just gets
phones.
worse.
Yeah.
Satellite everywhere, so they're beaming it to places that never had it before. So, and yeah, you can. I think most people intuitively feel better when they're in nature, but they don't get enough time in nature. And even if you're walking in the woods or laying on the beach, you still got a cell phone signal. So unless you're out in nature where there is no cell phone signal, you're not getting the pure nature vibe, right? Your devices are always communicating, and especially if you've got them on your body, like put it on airplane mode when you go for a hike, or keep it at distance is your friend when it comes to your cell phone or your iPad or your computer. The further away from your body, the better. And definitely at nighttime, put them on airplane mode, shut them off, shut your router off even. I have friends that are so electrically sensitive, they have to shut the power off in their bedroom when they go to sleep.
Wow.
Because dirty electricity, like every appliance in your house is giving off an electromagnetic field when it's plugged in. And it's not a healthy electromagnetic field. The key to health is to have the frequencies in the right range and the right intensities. and there's a lot of fake PEMF out there these days because it's becoming more well known. There's a lot of companies that are saying that they have PEMF, but really they're just chopping up the 60 hertz from the wall or the 50 hertz, whatever country you're living in. And they, tell you they chop 60 hertz into 10 pieces and say, oh, we've got 7 or 6 hertz. But it's basically just dirty electricity. They're not creating the real frequencies and the real hertz that you want that is healing your body.
You mentioned it. Say, go ahead.
As you say, there's just thousands of studies on PEMF and how it is beneficial for all kinds of different conditions.
And I guess the reason it's not that widely spread out is because, again, it's not that profitable for pharma.
No, it's not. You buy one mat and it can treat your whole family, and it's not. Yeah, their goal is to get you on something, a drug that you're on for the rest of your life, which is very profitable, right?
Oh,
So
yeah. How much is a mat?
Entry level starts at around 2,000 US and goes up to probably 10,000, depending on what you're getting, how many different accessories, which model. We have 2 different models. They're made in Switzerland. Our company has been around for 25 years. One of the first manufacturers of PEMF devices in the world, and they've got 5 country offices. There's an office in Switzerland, Germany, Canada, the US, Singapore, and Hong Kong. So they pretty much deliver to most countries everywhere.
Wow. And you mentioned that this also helps cancer patients.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
How does it work with cancer?
Well, again, cancer is the root cause of cancer is mitochondrial dysfunction because the cells lose the ability to create energy, and then they apoptosis is what normally happens with a cell. That's cell death. Your cells die and then they reproduce. But the energy in cancer cells is so low that they can't even kill themselves anymore. So they, and really cancer, we've been lied to about most diseases, but cancer is really your body trying to protect you. A tumor is like a little garbage can that your body doesn't have enough energy to eliminate these things, so it stores them in a weak system in your body somewhere in this little thing we call a tumor, right? And quite often parasites are involved, right? And sugar feeds cancer. So I mean, there's a lot of things involved with cancer. But when you can create more energy in the cell, then you can reverse that condition because you can bring those cells back to a point where the natural cell death can occur again. And it also, cancer doesn't like oxygen, and it increases oxygenation. Cancer also prefers an acidic environment, and this actually will make you alkaline much more than trying to do it by eating an alkaline diet or drinking alkaline water or things don't actually affect your body as quickly. This instantly pretty much you're alkaline because it's giving you that increased negative charge on your cells. So those are probably the main things with cancer.
Wow. And have you had any of your clients reverse a cancer and cure it?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you ever can say you cure it. I know we don't make medical claims,
Mm.
but yeah, I've had people where their tumors have shrunk and disappeared and they're in remission, right? So even our founder, the man that started the company, Wolfgang Jaksch, he had non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. He was living in Germany. He was a professional hockey player. When he was in his mid-20s, 24, 25, they found a golf or like a baseball-sized lump, and they had to remove his entire lymph string. So he did the chemo, the radiation. They gave him a 30% chance of living. So back then there was no Mama Google. So he went to the libraries, research, lectures, and he found out about PEMF. And there was a machine that was being built in Austria back then, which I think he paid 10 grand for back in those days, which was a lot of money. But he got better. And then he started selling them for that company, but didn't like the way it was run and thought this is not the best it could be. So he found engineers and people that could help him design and build a better mousetrap, basically. Right. And that was the beginning of his journey. And then he did lectures and shared it with people and put people on mats. And it just took on a life of its own. And now it's, over 2 million people worldwide have purchased mats over the years. So it's a very, very remarkable technology.
How long ago was that when you get diagnosed? They started the company.
That was about 25 years ago. So
Oh, wow.
now he's just turned 50, I think a year ago or so, and he's completely in remission. He hasn't had any issues with cancer since then.
Good.
But I think once you've had it, and he says this, once you've had it, it's always in your mind that if you feel something strange in your body, you kind of go, oh, is it back? Or like it's
Oh, yes.
I think that's and for me, I've never had cancer, but my whole family's gone with cancer. My sister was only 52, right? So I've done a deep dive into causes and what to do and what not to eat and what to eat, but I've never found anything that helps not only with cancer but with everything else like PEMF does in a way where people will actually use it. That's the main thing too, right?
Wow.
To get with any kind of thing that you're doing, it's consistency that creates results. It's not something that if you do it once a week, although people will come into just clinics and get PEMF treatments once a week and they'll feel better, but there's nothing better than doing it every day. Because every day we need energy. Every day our body needs food. Every day we need to brush our right.
Yeah, especially the sleep part. That's a big one because getting proper sleep is it's a very important factor for being healthy. So
Yeah, your body's repairing and regenerating and healing itself is mostly when you're sleeping, right? When you're up and you're awake, your energy, because we all have limited amounts of energy, and when you're physically active, that takes energy.
yeah.
Your food takes energy. So the healing of your wound or your disease gets put on the back burner because now I've got to digest that dinner you just ate, or now I have to go do this physical activity or go to the gym or whatever it is.
What is a daily suggested amount of time that one should spend on this device, on this mat?
Well, most of the sessions ours are usually 24 minutes.
Oh, wow.
But it will actually affect every single cell of your body after 8 to 10 minutes. So NASA did a 4-year, $3.5 million study because when they started sending people beyond the Earth's magnetic field, they would get sick really fast. They'd lose bone density, lose muscle tissue. So they studied it and they found that with the right frequencies and the right waveforms, after 8 to 10 minutes, it affected every cell of your body. But then you're going to get off the mat and it's going to continue to work for a while, but then you're going to get overwhelmed by your router and your cell phone and everything else in your environment. So the suggested minimum would be to do it twice a day for at least 10 minutes, say, right? But 24 minutes gets it deeper into your body. I usually suggest people do at least 3 times a day. And personally, I do it probably more than anybody I know, but I do it hours a day.
Is it like not harmful effect if you stay too long? For example, you said you sleep on it, you sit on it. Is there like a risk factor in that?
I don't think so. I mean, because all it's doing is giving you those natural earth-based frequencies that we are meant to be living in 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Mhm.
So I've only had a couple of days where there's been I felt like too much energy. So it depends on the person, and I wouldn't suggest that someone do it for multiple hours a day when they're first starting off, because you could go too fast too soon, right? Like it,
Yeah.
because your cells are going to detox. Your cells are going to go happy. Now I've got all this energy. I'm going to get rid of this stuff. And if you're a very toxic person, that could create a healing reaction, but is very rare. I think I've had 1 or 2 people where they'll get a headache or they'll get an upset stomach because they especially North Americans have this idea that more is better. And with energy medicine, quite often less is better, right? So you don't want the highest intensity. You want the lower intensities, which would be what nature provides. But in my way of thinking, when I after probably 6 months of using it, when I first got one, I thought, well, if I get off the mat and the effect is going to last for another 6 hours or 7 hours, after 3 hours, it's already started to wear off a little bit. So I should be able to do it more. And because, we're really meant to be living in that frequency range all day long, if we were living on the planet the way it was designed, I didn't think there was any harm in it. But I just gradually started to increase. And for me personally, I just felt better when I did it more, especially after the pandemic hit and I was more time indoors and more time on these devices. Right? That really affects our health in a negative way. More time on your cell phone and your computer and your laptop and all that.
Wow. When did you realize that this is something you want to invest a lot of time and go all in with this?
I almost immediately, when I first tried it, because of the results I felt myself, on my very first session, and then when I started putting other people on it, and I would say when I was doing a lot of live demos where I would lay somebody on it, I would say 90 to 95% of people noticed after their first 20 minutes that they, on some level, they felt better. And for 40 years of helping people with their health, mostly with nutritional supplements, there weren't very many things that after doing it 20 minutes later, you knew you felt better. Right? So I knew there was a huge potential here. And I also knew that most people had never even heard of it, which in a business sense is actually a good thing, because then you've got a curiosity factor. And the more you dive into it and the more you learn about it, the more sense it makes, right? There's the more studies you see or the more science or the more you understand what it really is doing for you. To me, it just became the biggest no-brainer.
Yeah.
The only issue for some people was that it wasn't just $10, right?
Yeah.
But, supplements over time cost a lot of money. Like most people with the old school MLM nutritional cup supplements, they're spending on auto ship every month of $150, and you could literally finance a mat for the same price. And once it's paid for, it's paid for. It's not an ongoing expense for the rest of your life where you've got to be putting this drug or this food. Supplements are good anyway. But and I was a supplement person, but when I got my mat, I've always liked to test things by themselves. So for the first time in 30 years, I stopped all my supplements. I didn't do any shakes, no pills. I took some digestive enzymes usually, but that was about it for the first 4 or 5 years with the mat. I wasn't doing supplements. And then I started to reintroduce supplements again. And that actually boosted me up again. But I felt better with just the mat than on probably at that time I was spending $200 to $300 a month on supplements. So the mat actually saved me a lot of money on not having to do supplements that weren't giving me the effect. But a lot of things I find over time don't work as well.
Mhm.
Like they'll initially when you take a supplement, it works really well for you, but sometimes after a couple of years, you're just not getting the same bang for the buck anymore, right? So you either have to take more of them or you jump to a different supplement and try and see if that works better.
Yeah.
And with the mat, I just found that it consistently made me feel better year after year after year.
Yeah. Wow. Beautiful. That's very powerful. You mentioned that this helps people with chronic diseases or pains, but what if people that don't have any such, especially for people who are very active physically, athletes, people that do sports, can that help them with faster recovery time?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you'll speed. So if you injured yourself, I'm on my website, the bottom half of the client results page are all athletes and sports testimonials, right? So if you injure yourself, you're going to heal twice as fast. You're also going to have more energy for your work. So if you do it before you work out or compete, you're going to have more energy, right? In a way that's not anti-doping or anything, right? So especially athletes that, and we've got Olympic athletes that use it. Athletes at a very high level, sometimes it's, 2/100ths of a second makes a difference
Oh,
between
huge. Yeah.
whether you win or lose. So if you can get a slight edge, if you can use anything that's safe and effective and easy to use, that gives you a little edge over somebody else, makes you recover faster. When you work out, it stops the lactic acid buildup. So you're not getting the soreness afterwards. You're just going to recover. You'll be able to train more often, work out more often, lift more weights. The other thing that it does is increases bone density. So typically to increase bone density, you need to do weight resistance.
Mhm.
But a lot of people can't, especially if they're elderly, right? They might even be bedridden. But you could be laying in bed and increasing your bone density just by having the mat on. So I'm 71. The last time I checked my bone density, it was if I was 29. So that's huge. When you age, I know if I fall over, I'm not going to break my hip, right? And breaking bones at an increased age is not good.
Yeah. And honestly, you saying you're 71, but you don't look a day over 50, 51. And that's what the first thing I asked you when we talked the first time, say, what's the secret? And now I know what's the secret. Okay.
That's the secret. Yeah.
Wow. Amazing. Amazing. Share with us an example of the most remarkable transformation you've seen from one of your clients using this magic mat.
Um, well, I'm the fast ones are kind of miraculous to me. We had a woman that she had been running, she'd fallen, put her hands out, she dislocated both shoulders, she'd had 2 surgeries on one shoulder. For 10 years, her arm wouldn't go above that without pain. And in 8 minutes, she was waving her arm above her head.
Wow.
Like that, so those kind of things, which to me are like, wow, that's a miracle, right? There's nothing I could have done massage wise to get her shoulder to do that with and to be pain free. And from the one session, it stayed like that for a week, right? There's a shoulder injury testimonial from Steve on my website where he'd torn his ligaments. The doctor told him surgery wouldn't even fix it for him. There was nothing they could do. And within a few seconds, he was just using it kind of once a week. He borrowed somebody else's. He didn't even use it that often. And same thing, his shoulder completely healed and he was able to move his arm around. People with diseases like cancer where their tumors shrink and fall off. MS, Parkinson's people that stop shaking. Just pain going away, arthritis pain,
Wow.
knee pain. I haven't seen anybody that doesn't improve, no matter what the diagnosis is. And kind of that's the beauty of it too, that it's not disease specific. again, because it's working individually on every single cell of your body, giving them the energy to self-heal. Your body knows what it needs to look after first. But some people are much slower to respond to it, depending on what's going on. But it's consistency and using it regularly, and being the only important thing is that you're well hydrated. As your cells get activated, we're made of water, so you need to be drinking water, and then that gives it the power to transfer the electric.
And this device works equally good for both men and women, or does it work better for men than women and vice versa?
No, it works. We're all human beings. We all have cells, and it's, you know, the official position for babies is 2 weeks old, but we've had women that used it through their whole pregnancy, and you know, the babies are on it right away. I've had people who are in their 90s use it. So yeah, great results with children and animals. You know, I've got
Animals too.
amazing
Wow.
with horses and dogs and cats, and those kind of results are in a way more amazing and more believable, because you know, with humans we've got this thing we call the placebo effect. So it makes a difference whether, and also the nocebo effect. So it makes a difference whether you believe in things or not sometimes, and how well they work. But with an animal, that doesn't come into the situation. So there's a video I have of a horse that had shipping disease, so it couldn't breathe. Its breathing was terrible, and they just would lay the mat over top of it, and within seconds, the horse's breathing was better. And then if they took it off, it would be worse again, and they put it back on. It would. So it's not something because the horse believes in it, right? It's not, oh, this is working because, you know, my friend said it works and I believe it, right? It's nothing you could argue with. There's nothing else going on there other than taking the mat on and taking it off and seeing how it affects their reaction.
Amazing. Can it also help women, especially during their menstruation and to alleviate the pain that they're feeling?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of things involved with hormones, hormone balance, and there, you know, for women that are having a lot of hormonal issues, there's things that I would recommend on that side of it as well, nutritionally. But yeah, it's optimal bodily function. You know, your body really knows what to do. The biggest issue for most people is that we've ingested either voluntarily or through even the air we breathe and the chemtrails that are out there, or whatever it is that we're in the water, the fluoride, the chlorine, the, you know, whatever pesticides are on your food, all those things get in the way of health, right? So if you can eliminate those things and just get the body to be able to handle them better, then your health improves. And we're all subject to that. Even the people who are, healthy athletes, they drop dead. You know, we've seen so many athletes drop dead on the playing fields in the last few years.
Yes.
Just because you're running every day, or you can do a triathlon, or you're a professional football player, it doesn't protect you, right, from the onslaughts of all this stuff that's in our world that's making us not healthy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Wow. That's amazing. I mean, with what you're saying, it should be in every household.
It should be, yeah. It should be with every household. You know, so realtors should make it as part of the deal. You buy this house with your, and that's the other, you know, houses now, they're all going to be smart houses, where every appliance in your house is talking to the Internet of Things, which is just making it worse for you, that whole environment. And even electric cars.
Yeah.
You know, if you take a EMF meter into your electric car, it's crazy. You know, you got Wi-Fi in your dash, so you can't escape it, right? You're being bombarded with these unhealthy frequencies. So, you know, and one of our units doesn't actually need to be plugged into the wall. So I used to do a lot of 5-hour drive commutes, and I would just use the back pad on my car seat the whole drive. And when I got in, I wasn't sore, I wasn't tired. I could easily unload my car, right? So yeah, it's truck drivers should have them, you know, for long haul truck drivers, keep them awake, keep you energized, so you're not having to do bennies to do your 12-hour drive or whatever it is you're doing, right?
Athletes,
Just
military, everybody.
everybody, literally everybody. They should be everywhere because we've got all this 5G everywhere, right? So we need protection from that, right? So yeah, schools. I mean, you see
Oh,
school
yeah.
classrooms where everybody's got an iPad and there's so many routers in the room. Yeah, so unhealthy. But the I don't think the global agenda is to make people healthy, right? We need to reverse this whole
Yeah.
way the world has been going about keeping us on drugs for the rest of your life and having to have expensive medical procedures done, right? So being sick, and especially in the U.S., it's expensive. You have to go to the hospital and have chemotherapy in the U.S. It's not cheap. So even though our mats are again not cheap, they're way less expensive than being sick,
Oh,
right?
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Wow. That's incredible. If someone is interested in that, how can they find out more?
The best thing is just to go to my website, and it's just PEMFsolution.com, no S on the end. So Peter, Edward, Michael, Frank Solution. And there's a ton of information on there.
Mm.
Uh, there's a huge list of client results. There's scientific research, but lots of different ways on there that they can just reach out to me, connect with me. I'm happy to get on a phone call with somebody. I don't care if they buy a mat or not. I just like to talk to people and help them on any level I can. And it's just something that, yeah, we're not educated about. Doctors should be, doctors don't even get nutritional education,
Yeah.
right? So you go to the doctor, they don't ask you what you're eating or what your habits are or whether you're working out or, they just want to say, oh, you got this, so here's your prescription. Go get this filled,
The only time they
right?
mention nutrition is eat healthy. Okay, what does that mean?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
Google it.
There's so much conflicting advice about that.
Yeah.
And it is different, like for some people, whether it's supplements or food, certain foods affect people in different ways. And you live in a different part of the world where the diet is very different than it is here in Canada.
Much healthier. Yeah.
Much healthier, right? You don't have as many obese people, I'm sure, in
No.
Vietnam as here, right? So diet has a huge part to it, but a North American might not do well on a Vietnamese diet. I don't know,
The
but
only
very, very individual for people. Whereas for PEMF, doesn't matter where you live, what country you're in, what kind of diet you do, what kind of exercise you do.
yeah.
It works.
The only obese people I see here are mostly Westerners.
Pardon me?
The only all obese people I see here are mostly Westerners.
Most Westerners, yeah, tourists or people who are moved
Yeah.
there, right?
Yeah. But the people who move here, if they come with a few extra pounds, within a few weeks, they will lose that because
Yeah,
the weather is nice. People walk all the time. There's a beach. There's the mountain. The hills are right here. You can go hiking. There's so much. The sun plays a huge part in that in the weather and how active you are in Canada and Toronto. After you cannot go out unless you're into winter
yeah.
sports. Some people are not. I am not.
I'm
But
not. Yeah. When
yeah,
in the winter, I'm hibernating a lot in the winter,
exactly.
right?
Same here. But here, not only you're always active, but the food is so much healthier. So you will lose weight even without even trying.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's amazing. How are you getting your clients so far?
Well, I mean, originally I was doing it with people that I knew and my massage clients, and but then once the pandemic hit, you got kind of I couldn't have been doing massage anymore. You weren't allowed to touch people, right? So then I went mostly online. So I do podcasts like this. I try and reach out to people to educate them
Mhm.
and find and connect with people on Facebook or LinkedIn or that's it's not a world I love as much as real live people. I'm kind of old school, right? I didn't grow up with a
Me too.
computer.
Yeah.
I feel blessed that I was born in the 50s and grew up through the 60s and 70s and we didn't have we weren't stuck on computers all day. We were, as a kid, you were outside, you were playing, you came home when it was dark, right?
Yeah.
Your parents were worried about you. There wasn't all this fear going on, right? Food was better. We ate sugar, but it wasn't the high fructose corn syrup that we have today.
Oh
It
yeah.
was a healthier lifestyle back then, much more active.
As I say always, I wish I was born maybe one or two generations earlier to experience the world when the
Yeah,
world was much more wholesome. And just like you said, we would go out and play, come home when it was dark or when food was ready.
that's right. Yeah.
Food was ready, and food back then in the supermarket, there was no aisle for organic food. There was only one food. Food was organic naturally.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I'm becoming nostalgic of that world. And but hey, let's make the most of what we have now. Unless you're living off the grid, you cannot escape that. But we can
Yeah.
protect ourselves.
And hopefully we can change things and get back to some of the old ways
Yeah.
and debunk some of the lies we've been fed
Oh yeah.
by the food industry and the pharmaceutical industry, and get back to a healthier way of living. That's the only hope, I think, for the planet, is to start changing some of the things that have been pushed down our throats.
Absolutely. That's a massive, massive topic and do an entire con
Yeah.
conference just on that alone, Forget a little podcast. Yeah. One other question I have about your business is if you had a magic wand and could fix one thing in your business, what would that be?
Fix one thing in my business.
If you have a magic wand and you can fix one thing in your business, what would that be?
The speed at which I can connect with people
Mhm.
and help people, right? Just to, it's slow trying to reach out to people, and I think we all live in this world of, there's so many scammers out there. There's so much misinformation out there. People aren't as trusting as when I grew up,
Oh yeah.
right? So if I could just speed up the process of finding people and speed up that trust process, um, and people in some respects have a good attention span these days, but in a lot of respects they don't. There's We weren't designed for this amount of information and input.
No. Yeah.
Our our senses, our brains were designed to be in nature, right? Not to be overwhelmed by images and ads and TV and commercials and all this stuff all the time. It's just too much, and
Yeah.
that that just kind of slows the whole process down. As much as it's
Yeah.
fast, it's not creating connection, right? So
Yeah.
I really miss the days when I used to do massage, because I had a lot more physical connection with people, hugging people all the time, and they really get to know who you. I used to say, if you want to get to know me, have a massage and listen to my music, because I'm also a
Love that.
singer songwriter.
Oh wow.
So if people listened to my music and the lyrics and had a massage, they would really know who I was.
What kind of music do you make?
Um, I am a I play guitar and sing. So I used to also sing with a choir, and I was one of the soloists with the choir. But my music kind of, um, they're all it's more about the lyric for me, and they were all kind of life lessons for me on how to, so about spirituality, a lot about love, uh, just things that I needed to remind myself of, staying in the moment, being present, you know, uh, yeah, you'd have to listen to it.
Yeah,
So if
wow.
someone wants to listen to my music, it's all free to listen to. It's just my name, adrianarmstrong.com,
Okay.
and they can just hit play all, and there's two CDs, one with me just on the guitar, and then the second CD has an amazing keyboard player that we did it together. But yeah, all of the songs are original except for one, which is also original but was written by a friend of mine. But
Awesome. I'll check it out and I'll put it in the show note. You mentioned one question I have now is do you have your own podcast?
no, I don't.
what's the one thing, why not? Especially someone like you with such a powerful message, what an amazing voice like you. What's holding you back?
The time commitment,
Okay.
the commitment of, so I time is my currency. Like it's nice to have financial
Yeah.
abundance,
Yes.
but money has never been my motivator. You don't do massage for 35 years
Yes.
because you have a lot of money,
Yes.
right? So for me, it's always been more about just the ability to be my own boss. I've always resisted authority. I don't like being told what to do. I couldn't work for somebody else that says you got to do this and be here. And even when I taught Tai Chi, after a couple of years, I had issues with every Tuesday and every Thursday at this specific time I have to be here. And I'm a kind of, because of the Tai Chi, I'm a kind of go with the flow kind of person.
Mhm.
Every day could be different. I don't know what it's gonna bring. I don't like to tie myself down to you have to be here at a certain time.
Yeah.
So to have your own podcast, as you know, because you have a podcast, you've got to make it's a big time commitment. And I'm sure even after we're recording here, you're not done with this podcast. Sometimes people edit them, they've got to do all this computer technology to put it all together. And it's just not something I think I would love to do. I love to talk on somebody else's podcast like yours, and you can do all that extra work. But I'm already on my computer more than I want to be.
Yeah.
My real goal is to be able to walk away from
Mhm.
Facebook
Yeah.
and LinkedIn and marketing things, and
Yeah.
you that's the goal, is just to go back to
Yeah.
life. But when you were a teenager,
Yeah.
I there's a lot of I think for a lot of people, there are things you do as a teenager that are we call hobbies. For me, playing guitar was one, playing golf was one, playing table tennis. Things that I love to do, not because I was trying to make money or get a
Fun.
job or a
Yeah.
living. They were just things that I love to do. And I think most people, if they look back on that time in their life, there are things that they've given up because the real world forced them to, because there's only so many hours in the day. But those things would probably still give them joy, whether it's
Yeah.
painting or cooking or gardening or whatever it is that you loved as a playing a sport or
Hmm.
whatever you love to do. You probably would still love to do it,
Yeah.
but you weren't able to continue that because real life hits you
Yeah.
square in the
Yeah.
face. So for me, that's the life that I want. I'm already 70. I'm not looking to work harder. I'm looking to work smarter, to work less, to spend more time just
Yeah.
living, enjoying life, connecting with people,
Hmm.
sharing love, meals, hugs, whatever. That's
Yeah.
that's more goal than building a new business or anything. And
I
and
agree.
podcast to me is a lot of work.
Yeah, no, I see what you're coming from. Yes, absolutely. That's one thing I love about podcasting, ironically, is that for me at least, and the way I do it, it doesn't take any time that, yes, there's a time, but not enough time. Literally 30 to 45 minutes a day. Because as entrepreneurs, we all get on calls every day. Why not turn one of those calls into a podcast? Not like creating new time. And because I barely do any editing, unless the person asks me to remove something, so there's no editing involved for me. I like to keep it as organic as possible because I want to keep it as, again, as natural, free flowing. And also because, let's be straight, I don't want to create extra work for myself. I live in
Yeah,
paradise. I want to enjoy life. So for me, it doesn't take a lot of time, but yet it allows me to really speed up, to really connect. I've heard that conversation with my exact ideal audience, to get my word, not just to the world, but to my tribe, to the people that really need it. So for that reason, podcasting can be an incredible, what is it, accelerator, because it gets you one to one with the right piece of people without creating any extra work for you. So in that case, for me, when done that way, it's been a godsend, and it's completely took my life and my business to the next level. So it doesn't.
well, who knows? Maybe,
Yeah. Yeah.
who knows?
Exactly. Exactly.
I
So
could mind.
exactly. Yeah. So I will have my next challenge in June, and I would love to invite you as a guest to the next challenge so you can really find out more about how podcasting can really take your business next level. The challenge is fun, it's free, and it's a load of fun, a lot of fun. So I will keep you posted for the next challenge in June. And who knows, that might plant some seed into your brain and show you things from a different perspective.
Sounds good. You never know. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. Awesome.
One thing that I will always do is learn about things.
Oh, absolutely. Life is a
I'm a,
school.
li- I'm
Yes.
a life learner, and that's, and when I find something, I usually deep dive into it,
Yeah.
right? So
Awesome. Awesome. Now, if someone wants to connect with you, Adrian, what's the best way to do so?
just through my website.
AdrianArmstrong.com.
No, that's the music.
Okay.
The PEMFsolution.com.
Solution with an S at the end, right?
No S.
Oh,
No
no.
S.
Okay. So I'll put it in the show note. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Listen, Adrian, absolute pleasure. It was a blast talking to you. I learned a lot talking to you. It's one thing I love with my podcasting is talking to experts and learning about things that not only I thought I knew, but learning about things I didn't even knew existed. So you just
Yeah.
opened my eyes to something I didn't even know. So thank you for that. I salute you. You're a true leader with a heart. Keep shining your light. Keep blessing with your presence, your impact, your gifts, and get this device into every household because it based on what you're saying, everybody needs to have it, especially in light of the incredible cost of medical care in the US and even in Canada.
Yeah.
It
And
takes a
I
long
help.
time to see an expert.
Yeah, it does. And one of the other things that when people do buy one, the company gives them their own website, so now they're allowed to be an affiliate as well if they choose to. There's no charge for that. There's no
Okay.
pressure to. But for me, it's been, apart from the best health thing I've ever done financially, it's been the best thing I've ever done. And I've
Yeah.
helped up to half a dozen people get to the top of the compensation structure as well. And I take on the work for people too, so people
Yeah.
can just, if they get good results, they can just say, hey, here's my friend, talk to Adrian, and I can do the whole process for them and
Yeah.
help create some income flow as well as some health flow.
Yeah. The best products to use is the one that you can yourself use and be proud to share of. And the best business to start is the one that you share how you overcame whatever you had to overcome. And this,
Yeah.
it's both of that. So that's perfect. Beautiful. Awesome. Listen, Adrian, I salute you. Have a fantabulous rest of your evening. It's late for you. It's what, 8 o'clock, 8:36.
Yeah, it's 8:36. Yeah.
All right, here is 10:36 a.m. Wednesday morning, and we'll be talking soon. Take care. God bless,
Uh,
my friend. Take care. Cheers. Bye bye.